So Fabio Wardley does it again. He comes from behind in an enthralling fight to stop Joseph Parker in the 11th round. Let's talk about it. Parker, during fight week, looked very keyed up. He seemed more aggressive at the press conference than we're used to seeing him. And that carried through into the fight itself. During the ring walk, in the ring before the opening bell, and indeed after the opening bell, Joseph Parker started very aggressively on the front foot, using his jab, and whenever he got an opportunity to pin Fabio Wardley down, he opened up with both hands like he was looking for an early knockout. It worked well for him in the first round. He didn't get the knockout, obviously, but he won the round. It was going relatively well in the second round as well. I think it was the second, but then he got caught because he got too greedy. It was either the second or the third round. After that, Wardley was able to come back into it because he stunned Joseph Parker. But Parker then started boxing a little bit more sensibly. He was controlling the action behind his jab, holding center ring, looking to push Fabio Wardley back, but not being silly with it. As Joseph Parker started to gain control of the fight, Carl Frampton had him several rounds up, as did most viewers watching the fight, according to the poll on DAZN. Parker then started getting too greedy again. For some odd reason, he was looking for the knockout in a fight which he was building up a lead on the scorecards. He was clearly the technically better boxer. He had the better jab, but he couldn't help himself from opening up more than he had to and involving himself in exchanges with a guy who thrives off exchanges. That's how Fabio Wardley tends to win most of his major fights, is when his opponents want to exchange with him. As I said in my pre-fight videos, Joseph Parker doesn't tend to do very well in dogfights. Dylan White took him into a dogfight and beat him. Joe Joyce took him into a dogfight and beat him. Parker is better off when he keeps his boxing nice and clean, when he doesn't get too involved. Not like he has to run around the ring, but just not get involved in big exchanges and whatnot. That's not really his game. It's never been his game. But somehow he got it into his head against Fabio Wardley, who specializes in beating people in big exchanges, that it was his game, Joseph Parker. And that was his undoing. He got hurt several times, and Wardley got hurt several times in the fight as well, but Parker kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it with Wardley like only a knockout would do, like a points victory was never going to be good enough for him, and he paid the price. It was really a puzzling tactical choice by Joseph Parker to be that aggressive and force the issue when he really didn't have to, when he was outboxing Fabio Wardley in the way he was. Very, very puzzling stuff from Joseph Parker. And that gave Wardley the opportunity he needed. There was a big exchange in the 10th where Wardley came back from being hurt. Then in the 11th, another big exchange. Wardley came out on top. Joseph Parker was rocking and rolling on the ropes, wasn't throwing enough back, and really left the referee with no option but to stop the fight. I know there hadn't been a knockdown, but Joseph Parker was getting hit with some big shots. Yeah, he was blocking and avoiding some as well, but there were some big shots getting through. You have to fire back or tie your opponent up, and Joseph Parker simply didn't do that. So personally, I've got no issue with the stoppage. I think it was okay. And Fabio Wardley strikes again. He comes from behind just like he did against Justice Hooney to win a fight late. He proves me wrong once again because I picked Joseph Parker to win this fight on points. I thought it would be relatively comfortable at first. But then when I saw Joseph Parker's weight, 262, in my final thoughts video, I said, I think this fight is going to be a lot more competitive now because Parker's just come in too heavy. He's going to be stationary. And he was in the fight. His hands were still plenty quick, but the feet were plodding at 262. Absolutely no good reason to be carrying all that extra bulk. Shouldn't have been any more than 245 against Wardley, the same weight he weighed against Deontay Wilder. So he came in heavy, and that gave Wardley the opportunity to throw shots at a relatively stationary target at times. So those were Parker's two big mistakes. For some reason, he was constantly going for the knockout when he didn't have to. He was winning the fight. And the second thing is, he was just far too heavy at 262. But all credit to Fabio Wardley. It's not his fault that Joseph Parker came in too heavy and decided to give him all those opportunities to land his big shots by being too greedy and slugging. That's down to Joseph Parker. I was listening to what Andy Lee was telling Parker in the corner between rounds, and he wasn't telling Parker to go out there and take Wardley's head off. So it seems like Parker was approaching things that way of his own initiative. Again, no idea why. Inexplicable to me why he would do that, because that plays right into Fabio Wardley's hands. If there's one guy in the heavyweight division who you can't get too greedy with, is Fabio Wardley. Not just because he's a big puncher, but because he has a natural fighting instinct. When you take it to him, it G's him up. When you hit him with a big shot, it energizes him somehow. And then the Super Saiyan mode gets switched on, and you better have the defensive skills and the energy to withstand the onslaught that's coming, because it's coming. Joseph Parker at 262 didn't have the energy because he was far too wasteful with his punches, opening up way too much, going for the knockout way too much, and it backfired in spectacular fashion. So hats off to Fabio Wardley. He proved me wrong once again. I thought he was going to lose this fight quite wide on the scorecards. I thought this would go the distance. But again, I did say in my final thoughts video that after the weigh-in with Parker coming in at 262, I thought the chances of both guys winning by knockout were a lot higher with Parker coming in at that weight, because there'd be a higher chance of Parker gassing out or just being caught because he's slower on his feet. But at the same time, Parker with that extra muscle would have a better chance of hitting and hurting Wardley. And let's talk about that for a second, because Wardley was buzzed multiple times in this fight, as was Parker, but Wardley showed tremendous powers of recovery. Joseph Parker is not a massive puncher, but he's got decent power. And he hit Fabio Wardley plenty of times. Clean on the button, Wardley was able to, like I say, be buzzed, but recover very quickly and then fire back. And that's his superpower, Fabio Wardley. This guy is at his most dangerous when he's hurt. So yeah, hats off to the man from Ipswich. He's done it again. He's proved me wrong again. And now he will be the man to face Alexander Usyk next, it looks like. Maybe I'm getting into a really bad habit here of picking against Fabio Wardley, but I'll certainly be picking against him in the Usyk fight. I'll take the hate from the Ipswich fans. I've got nothing against Fabio. I think he's great for the sport. I wish him all the best in his career. Maybe I've just got too much of a reverence for fighters with an extensive amateur background who have all the technique and the polish to their boxing that Fabio Wardley doesn't have. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm just too enamored by amateur backgrounds and, like I say, correct technique, and don't put enough stock in Fabio Wardley's raw fighting ability. Not like he doesn't have any technique at all himself. It's just not on the level of most of the guys he's fighting now as he steps up in class. Be that as it may, Alexander Usyk is several levels up again. And yeah, I would certainly be picking him to beat Fabio Wardley comprehensively, either totally dominating him on points or maybe stopping him. But I'm sure there'll be some people out there, given the run that Fabio Wardley's on, who think he's going to pull it off against Usyk as well. A minority, I would assume, but yeah, there are going to be people, more people should I say, who are believers in Fabio Wardley now. He just keeps pulling it out the bag. So big up Fabio. Let me know what you guys thought about this fight in the comments below. Were you as baffled by Joseph Parker's tactics and by his weight as I was? Did the fight play out the way you thought it would? I know there were plenty of you guys who did pick Fabio for the win. Congratulations on your prediction. And those of you who got it wrong like myself, give me your thoughts as well. Don't forget to like and share this video. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out. Are you surrounded by mindless bots in human form who adhere to the norm and blindly conform? Who swallow all the mainstream BS and actually ridicule you for questioning things? Do you wish you had more free-thinking individuals in your life to network and converse with? Well, look no further. We're right here. Come and join the Brotherhood of Reason on Patreon. You'll gain access to my weekly topical content where we take deep dives on an endless variety of subjects, as well as my vast back catalogue of podcasts, videos, interviews, movie decodings, and my Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You'll also get to talk and network with myself and hundreds of other people in our members chat. You can enjoy all this via the Patreon app or on desktop and download all my podcasts in high-quality MP3. There's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time, just like Netflix, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Just download the app from the Play Store or the App Store, or simply visit patreon.com on a web browser. Then head on over to my page and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. All the links are in the description box below. And just a quick money-saving tip for Apple users. If you purchase your Patreon subscription on the desktop site or on Android, then you'll avoid the ridiculous 30% fee that Apple charges for purchases made on the iOS app. So if you're on iPhone or iPad, save yourself some money by buying your subscription on the actual Patreon website or on Android because it's a lot cheaper. Once you've made that initial purchase, you can then use the Patreon app on your iPhone or iPad thereafter to access and enjoy your content as normal.